welcome. I'm Rabbi Robin Frisch, and this is the Mazel Pups podcast. If you are Jewish or Jewish, however you define that, then if you love dogs, this is the podcast for you. My guest today is Sammy Leighton. Sammy and I first connected a couple of months ago through Instagram when she sent me an adorable picture of her dog Zuli and her challah toy to post on Mazel Pups. And I was posting on my Instagram account, and then I decided to check out Sammy's account. And I learned that she was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that she had started the Dog Walker, which is a dog walking and pet sitting business in Fort Lauderdale. And we started messaging, and she shared how much she loved what she did. And I just love the idea that Sammy was a young Jewish entrepreneur whose business was all about pets and mostly dogs. So I knew that when I had a podcast, which at that point existed only in my mind, that I wanted Sammy to be on it. So I wrote to Sammy and said, will you be on my podcast? And she immediately agreed. And then I realized that I had to tell her that I don't actually have a podcast yet, and I was just planning to have a podcast. So that gave me a lot of incentive. And even though I'm lousy with technology and I didn't know how I was going to record a podcast or anything else about one, I now had Sammy on board, and I was determined to find a way to start a podcast. So here we are, just a couple of months later. The podcast is now a reality thanks to the ability to outsource things. And I get to interview Sammy, and you all get to hear. So, Sammy, before we get started with our official questioning, we have to go through the lightning round, which is 4 questions, just like in a Passover Seder, except I was thinking the big difference is at a Passover Seder, it's the youngest who knows how to ask that asks the questions. Let's just say I'm more than twice your age, so it's not the youngest asking the question, but one of us will ask questions, and the youngest will answer the questions. First question, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Do you currently have a dog?
I do. She is a rescue baby and she's 5 years old. I got her when she was 3. Her name is Zuli.
And can you share a fun fact or two about Zuli?
She is 14% Boston Terrier and 44% Pit Bull.
Wow. So you did one of those tests, obviously.
I did.
I've been saying for years, I have an 11-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm dying to know what they are, and I just don't do it. So switching gears for a moment, what is it that you like the most about Judaism?
I would say the thing I love most about Judaism is I really like being part of a community that really values family and friends and good food. I also have to say I grew up with a really cool rabbi. Shout out to Rabbi Serkman, who was just fantastic and made everything fun when learning about Judaism, learning about the culture. So, all of that and being around family and, enjoying the holidays together, it's very special.
Well, I'm a big fan of cool rabbis and rabbis who had an impact, and someone, after growing up with them really still likes them. That's great to hear. Yeah. And my final question is, what is your favorite Jewish holiday and why? So it's really 2 questions.
It's got to be Hanukkah. Presents. Nothing gets better than that. Also just, being around family that time of year is just the best.
Awesome. Thank you. So now going back a little bit, number of years, did you have a dog growing up?
I did, but not till I was 12. So the first 12 years of my life was pretty much me just begging my parents for one.
And what can you tell us besides the name, which I'd love to hear about that dog?
Sure. Her name is Sadie. I chose the name with my sister. We're Sammy and Sophie, and then we had to have another S. And she is a mutt. We rescued her as a puppy. She was a little baby, and now she's 14, which is crazy. She's actually doing pretty well for her age. She has some arthritis, but other than that, she was my soul dog in the very beginning, and she's my soul sister, and I love her. And yeah, I hate watching her get old, but it happens, and she's still doing very well for her age, which is impressive.
I also have a dog with arthritis, so
yeah.
I want to ask you, because you have, as people know, you have this entrepreneurial spirit, and you have your own business. Growing up, what did you think you were going to do for your career?
My mom's a career counselor. So growing up, I was handed all these different tests to take to figure out what my career was going to be, because that's what my mom did for a living. And it would often say art teacher, or a lot of different teacher options, and then few other things here and there. So that kind of pushed me to go to school to be a teacher. I originally went to school to be a art teacher, which was one of the answers on the test. And I studied art for a few years, and eventually I kind of realized after I did an internship at a middle school with an art teacher that it just was not my cup of tea. I did not want to be around teenagers all day. Maybe would have been okay with elementary school, but I wanted to do more, intense art that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do. So I ended up switching to hospitality, and that's what I got my degree in. But here I am now as an entrepreneur.
Did you ever, at any point when you were younger, think like it would be really cool to start my own business at some point?
I think it was always something that kind of crossed my mind. I really like doing like lemonade stands, and I actually started dog walking when I was a kid, by just putting flyers up on trees around my neighborhood. So I definitely think it's something I've always kind of wanted. I was pushed more in the direction to go to school, go to college, get a job, so on and so forth, as long as my family was helping me. So once that kind of got out of the way and I started to become financially independent, it was kind of like, okay, now I can do what I want to do. Now I can go in and do the entrepreneurial stuff that I really want. But I don't think as a kid it ever really crossed my mind. I think it was more in high school that I started to realize, like, kind of want to do my own thing. I don't really like the idea of working for other people. And then in college, I learned I really don't like the idea of working for other people. But yeah, I would say, like, as a kid, I kind of just thought I would, go to college and then figure something out.
You grew up in New York. You went to college in Massachusetts. What took you to Fort Lauderdale?
Um, Seasonal depression. I really couldn't do the winters. I mean, I was right outside of Boston. If anyone knows, like, or has been to New England, it is really, really cold in the winter and really miserable. And there's never sun out in the sky. It's gray. It's just depressing. So that was my, like, main thing of why I moved here. Pretty much right after I graduated college, I started to apply for jobs in different sunny states. And I ended up in the Sunshine State. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, that's very sunny. I'm one of those people who, when people talk about the change of seasons, I'm like, yeah, it's great, but it changes to cold. Like, fall is beautiful, but it just leads to winter, which is I'm not a big fan of. So I
and now
totally
I'm like,
get that.
I don't know about summer anymore because it's raining a lot, but it's sunny for the most part, so I'm happy.
Okay, so you're in Florida and you're obviously working after college. So can you tell us about some of the jobs that you did after college before you got into the dog walking business?
Absolutely. I was kind of grasping for straws when I graduated college. I studied hospitality management with a focus in hotels. And I worked at a hotel through college. I was making pretty much no money, not enough to support myself in a big city like Fort Lauderdale. Fine in Salem, Massachusetts, but not going to work here. But that's still the amount that hotels were offering. It was very low, even with a degree. So I quickly realized maybe that wasn't the right major. But I enjoyed it, so it worked out for me. It was also a good learning lesson, learning how to talk to strangers when they come up to you, and that's helped me out with my career now. But like, I decided I'm going to do sales. My dad has been in sales. I'm very similar to my father. So I decided I'm going to do what he does because, we're the same person. It should be easy for me. I got my first job in fundraising sales. I was working for a company that essentially gave out these, like, Domino pizza cards. It was like buy one, get one, and helped out schools that might not have the funding to be able to do certain things. And they would sell these pizza cards, and then they'd get, the money to buy their new, what was it, like a playground or
Oh,
whatever,
nice.
so
So you were
a
at
bunch of
least doing
different
something. It
things.
was like something nice was coming out of it. You weren't just,
Yeah, it was rewarding. It was just that my commissions were based off of middle schoolers and elementary schoolers and high schoolers who did not want to fundraise. And there was a few nice commissions here and there when there were kids who were a little more serious about it, but it was just a lot of cold calling. So I was good at it. I just wasn't making the money I wanted to make. I was in a call center. It wasn't really my thing. I then got a job. Actually, I was in an elevator in my building and I was talking about dog walking, which I was doing as a side hustle at the time. And I had someone say to me, "Oh my gosh, I love how you sell yourself. Would you have any interest in a sales job?" So it was like, yes. And I quit my job and I went for that. I was selling ads on the side of these big trucks that have like LED signage on the sides, which was really cool. I got to be part of Miami NFT Week, which I got to, I set up the partnership with them and it was really cool. Stuff like that. It was a fun, cool job. I just wasn't trained enough to understand exactly what I was doing. So I ended up fired for not knowing what I was doing. As a startup. So it's hard I get it now as a business owner that it's hard to make time to train someone when you're doing everything. And they had around the same amount of people that I have now. So I get it. Then I ended up in a corporate position at CHG Healthcare, which was really cool. I really liked their mission. I thought it was an amazing job. It was just a lot of calling. And I also, I'll publicly say it, I have severe ADHD. That is not the right thing for me to be doing. I need to be moving. I need to get up and stretch my legs. I'm very fidgety. I've always had a hard time in school. So sitting at a desk all day is just not for me. And I knew that my whole life that sitting at a desk was probably not going to work, but society. But yeah, and then I pretty much eventually I'm sitting at my desk and I get texts from 3 different dog walking clients that day asking if I could walk their dog. It's around lunchtime. And it just kind of hit me. I want to be outside. I want to enjoy the weather. I want that Florida lifestyle. So that was kind of the start of when I started to think about starting a business.
did you eventually just decide I'm going to go for it and leave this job? Like at what was there a moment or something happened or just you got there?
I mean, I was crying a lot. That was a good sign that I needed to change something in my life pretty immediately. I moved here to get away from the depression that I was in New England, and I didn't want it to start again because I was miserable at a job. I pretty much was like, I'm going to take control of my life here and I'm going to do what's best for me. And my parents didn't know that I was doing this. My grandparents didn't know that I was doing this, but I ended up quitting my job, working on a website for a while, letting every client that I had at that point know that I was going to be full-time going forward. And that was about 40. So I had, a good start. And I said, let people know that I'm a dog walker in Fort Lauderdale. And for every client that finishes their first walk with me, I'll give you $5 off your next walk. That kind of helped bring in some clients. It's 2 years later. I'm at 250 clients.
I'm assuming your parents know by now.
They do.
So how did that conversation happen and how did it go?
Yeah. I was super nervous. It was kind of one of the scariest moments of my life. But I brought the numbers. I brought what I would have been making from my previous paycheck and what I made dog walking in the first month. And I showed it to my family and they were like, okay, all right, if this is what you want to do, you clearly have figured out a business model to make this work.
That's awesome.
We're not going to give you a dime, but we will be more supportive of it.
Did you feel really good once you got it out?
Yeah, I still didn't think they really 100% believed in it. I think it was I had to work really, really hard to get to the point where they're like, okay, yeah, now she's killing it. Now she's really started a business. But because now they brag to all their friends and all that, which I find funny. But in the beginning, I did kind of think okay, my dad is going to help me a little because he's good at all the, the financial stuff and the business stuff. And he's good at talking to people and he's good at handling difficult situations. So he helped me through all those like little things in the beginning, which was really helpful. And other than that, though, I think it was kind of like, we'll see. Like, we'll believe it when we see it, you know? Which to me just made me work harder. So I'm kind of grateful for it. But yeah, it was definitely a scary conversation.
I mean, I'm thinking if it was my kids and I'd be like, you left your job and now you're like walking dogs. I'm kind of curious about your life because I think I could be wrong that not only are you running a business, which is a serious thing, you're doing all these aspects and you're in charge of all the administrative pieces and you are literally running a business. I assume you're also walking dogs a lot. I know I talked to you on the phone. You're like, hold on, I'm going to get a dog. You were also awesome. Like you saw someone with a dog and you gave them your card. You're still a great salesperson, but you're doing like everything. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, right now you're doing everything, even though you do have employees who are also doing things as well, but you are the CEO or whatever your title is and all of the work that involves, plus you're walking dogs on a regular basis. Yep. Are you exhausted? Are you overwhelmed? Or is it like, this is so exciting and something I love and I'm investing in it, or a combination?
Yeah. So, okay. Yes. There's been ways, like over time, it's developed, it's evolved. So in the beginning, I was working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. I had no choice. You know, I had to figure out how to pay my bills, and Fort Lauderdale is not a cheap place to live. So I was working nonstop, and, you know, it did burn me out, but I loved it. It was, you know, it was great. And at that point, I didn't have the system I have set up now that, you know, I can have people book online. It was just texting, and somehow kept it all organized and did my best. But over time, I decided eventually, you know, okay, now I have the clients, I'm going to cut back a little. So I hired someone and I said, I need your help. You know, I'm going to start taking off these hours. And I started working like 10 to 4 or 5 o'clock, which is kind of my schedule now. And then after I realized she was great and she was helpful and I gave her more and more work, I decided, okay, I'm going to take off the weekends now. So now I have shorter hours within the week.
And when you say shorter hours, that's just the dog walking part, not all of the other stuff that you're still doing.
Yes, that's just dog walking. I'm out and about walking dogs from usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock until 5 o'clock p.m. And that's like perfect for me. Part of why I started a business too is to sleep in. Mm-hmm. I don't like mornings. I'm not a morning person.
I could totally understand that.
Yeah. I was like, if I'm going to start a business, I'm going to work hard in the beginning, and then the second I can sleep in, I will. So yeah, it's developed over time. I am doing a lot still. Now that I have more employees, it's been really great. It's actually interesting you brought this up too, because I just added something to my system last night, where it says dog walk and it says the $25, and it says dog walk request Sammy $30. So I did raise my rate so that I could have people who requested me consistently go to my employees who do just as great a job, because I hire well. That's helped my schedule a lot. It's given me more time to do the admin side of things, but I am thinking about hiring someone to do the scheduling and the invoicing, because to me, it's just not fun. It's not the fun part of the job is like walking dogs and being outside. And I'm such a dog person. I want to be around animals all the time, like dogs, cats, turtles, lizards. I don't care. I just love animals. So that's what's fun to me. And eventually I will find someone who can do the other side of stuff, because that's not my cup of tea, but I'm good at it and I know how to do it. So, you know, writing emails to clients has been easy for me and stuff like that. And I do love every aspect of running a business, just because it's mine. Mm-hmm. It's something I've created. It's something that I've found people to work for me who respect that I worked this hard to get to this point and acknowledge that. So I'm very grateful for that as well. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie.
So, Zuli, I'm assuming when you're walking other people's dogs that I don't know, can you take more than one dog at once, or is it just one person's dog at a time? or
Yeah, so
dogs?
we do private walks. However, if there are multiple clients in a building, which there often are, and those dogs are friends, the client might suggest, hey, why don't you take Pickle and Violet
Hmm.
together, or, whoever. So sometimes here and there we will. My dog Zuli is a little reactive with other dogs. She does have one friend. It's Pickle, the one I was just talking about. So when I walk him, I will sometimes bring her along just because she gets so happy to see him and he's so happy and they're so cute together and they walk right next to each other and I love
Uh,
it. But other than that, she usually is home with my boyfriend who works from home. So she's always has someone around. She's never alone. And she's
so I
super.
assume he's doing more of the Zuli walks, ironically, even though you're
Yes,
a dog
he
walker.
is. Yeah, he's very
Because I was
helpful.
concerned to make sure she gets enough walks and attention, but she does.
Yes,
Okay, good.
she does. She gets constant attention.
Because
She's very spoiled.
I think it's one of those things that parents of dogs and of humans are constantly facing. Like when you're doing other things, it's your own that can kind of get on the back burner. But I'm glad that
Hmm.
Zuli is getting all of the attention she deserves.
Oh, yes.
Um, so let me ask you, what were, and you may have said them all, but the greatest challenges of starting a business? Was there anything else that was challenging besides the thing you've mentioned?
I'd say like the biggest thing was proving myself. Um, I mean, I had my grandma call me once and say, "What am I supposed to tell my friends when they ask me what my granddaughter is doing for a living?" And I was like, "Tell them she's a business owner. You don't have to say dog walker. I'm a business owner. I'm doing much more than dog walking." So that was a challenge, having people respect and understand this, because proving myself was definitely a big challenge. Learning how to handle difficult situations, learning how to price myself reasonably, what I'm worth, going back and forth with that.
Mm.
Um, you know, what the industry standard is versus what I would be charging, because it is a luxury service. And I do go above and beyond for all my clients, and my employees do as well. So it is not one of the cheaper dog walking businesses in the area. It's because we do go above and beyond. Getting to learn how to explain that to people. Because I did in the beginning have people like, oh my God, I can't believe you charge that much. And I still will have people say that to me. But people pay it because I'm going above and beyond for all my clients. I'm doing more than the average dog walker or dog sitter would. So I would say that was definitely a big challenge for me in the beginning.
As far as getting the word out so people knew about your business, it sounds like by the time you started, you already had a number of clients. But were there other things besides, what I heard you do, giving someone your card, which is a great way to do it? Other ways that you got the word out?
Yeah, so the first week that I like really went full time, me and my boyfriend longboarded into Los Olas and started handing out business cards to anyone we saw walking a dog.
That's great.
Like prime time, like right after work, right when people got home. So everyone's out with their dogs and it's along the river and that's where everyone walks their dogs. So I'm out there just handing business card after business card after business card. And that got me a lot of clients. And not only did that get me a lot of clients, but a lot of people that I gave my card to then told their friends that they found this dog walker. So most of it is word of mouth. I did not spend a dime on getting
Wow.
clients. Um, it's word of mouth, it's Instagram, and now that I'm where I'm at, it's Google, because I have 86 5-star reviews on Google. So when people look up dog walker Fort Lauderdale, I'm one of the first ones to pop up.
That's awesome.
But in the beginning, it was pretty much all word of mouth and handing out business cards. I did do a few events.
Mm-hmm.
I started to partner with different companies. I partner with Wolfgang Bakery and Groomer, and New Habits Canine Dog Training. So I started to make those connections and build those connections, and figure out, who was going to be the go-to person that I send someone. Will I get a referral fee? Will that help my business? Are they going to tell people about me as well? Getting all of that sorted has been great.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, not in life, that's a whole different thing, but in the business aspect of your life, in the career aspect, do you see yourself still doing this? And where do you see your business? Do you see it growing, changing?
Yeah. I think 5 and 10 years are very different. at a 5-year mark, I would like to still be kind of doing exactly what I'm doing in a bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
I've been expanding a little bit here and there. Like in the beginning, I was just like 1 mile from where I'm at now. Now we have like a 5 mile radius. And then I keep kind of bringing new areas in as we go. Um, I like to keep them close enough that if something were to go wrong, I can get there quickly. So I haven't gone too far, but I'm hoping at some point I can either start franchising. I think that would be really cool. Teaching people, how to build a 6-figure dog walking business, or running a course to
Maybe it'll
teach
be
people.
7 figures, but
I know, hopefully. That is the goal. I also at some point I'm gonna want to like settle down and have kids. So we'll see how that builds into
mm-hmm.
everything. The 10-year plan, I would say, is more taking a step back, and letting my staff do the work. I'm always gonna be the person to make the decisions, because I have a very specific image of my business, a very specific, really great reputation that I am not ever going to try to jeopardize. I am the face of the business, and I hope to still be in 10 years. But I would like at some point to kind of take a step back and enjoy the life that I have, and not be working all the time, and say, I've worked hard to get here. That's what I'm hoping for.
So let me ask you, someone's in college and finishing up, or someone's, been out in the world for years and they're thinking, I want to start like a dog walking pet sitting business. What advice would you give to them?
I would say start it as a side hustle. I actually got a book before I started. When I quit my job, I went on Amazon and I bought a book, How to Start Your Own Business, how to be an entrepreneur, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it was. And the first thing it said that I took to heart and highlighted and underlined was start as a side hustle. And I 100% agree with that. If I had just quit my job without having any dog walking clients, I would have probably been screwed. I wouldn't have been able to pay my rent. So start it as a side hustle, build it over time, keep your other job until you are able to say, okay, I have enough clients to be able to afford to live if I'm not working this job. Um, you know, Hard things can bring in great things. Some of the hardest experiences I've had have shaped me to be who I am today. So I would say that's probably the advice I'd give.
How can people follow you on Instagram and see all the great stuff you're doing?
So our Instagram is at the Dog Walker FL, as in Florida. The business is the Dog Walker FL, and our website's thedogwalkerfl.com. So yeah, feel free to follow. We post cute dog content every single day, and just the cutest dogs in the world. And we're trying to, work hard on our social media and do some cute reels and stuff. And yeah, lots of cute things coming.
I love following you because every day it's like a different dog, and they do look really happy, which I think is something, because I'm assuming it's when they're with you getting a walk, and they're really cute.
They're
you walk
amazing.
very cute dogs. So I would encourage people on a personal level to follow you. It's just fun. People always write to me on Mazel Pups. They'll send me a DM. Like, it's just nice to look at something that makes me happy for a few minutes in this crazy world. And it's the same thing with your page. Like,
I was gonna say, like,
just
when I
nice
look at your
and
page
fun.
and I see all the dogs wearing their like yarmulkes and everything, I'm like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah. So,
It's
we
the
need
same
that.
type of
Right.
thing, and I think that our followers would both benefit from following both of us.
If you like dogs, look at both for a few minutes and you'll be very happy. Sammy, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to be able to interview you. I said in the beginning, like, you were part of the inspiration for finally moving, something I'd been wanting to do for a long time and just hadn't done. And then when you agreed to do it, I'm like, I got to start this podcast. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for sharing about your business, and wish you the greatest success. And I'm sure many people who've heard this have been inspired by what you've done. And start as a side hustle, everyone. I think it's a great idea. And you never know where it's going to go. And you are proof of that.
Thank you so much for having me, Robin. This has been awesome. I would have literally never said no to something like this. I think it's amazing. And I can't wait to see when it comes out and see all the other people you interviewed. I'm so excited for you. And just can't thank you enough.
Hello, shalom friends. I'm Bo, one of Rabbi Robin's dogs and an original Mazel Pup. If you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a pause and 5-star rating, and follow us on social media. Thanks for listening.